All right, let's talk about Origin Story, the new game from Stonemaier Games. This is a superhero trick-taking game, which is a theme that I did not expect to be as a trick-taking game. However, there was actually one that I played called Tricky Time Crisis. This is nothing like Tricky Time Crisis, which is awesome. So now we have two kind of interesting, very different superhero trick-taking games. This is designed by Jamie Stegmaier, owner of Stonemaier Games, as well as Pete Wissinger, who has designed other trick-taking games before. I'm very excited to see anything that they have upcoming and next. This game is 1 through 5 players. However, I will say I have not played it at 1 or 2. I was really excited to play this game with more people, so I was inviting people over, friends, and we were playing this game at those kind of higher player counts. So I have nothing to say about 2-player or 1-player at the moment. But with that being said, this game blends trick-taking and kind of tableau building or engine building and makes it one game. And it's so funny because of course it has engine building. That's like Jamie Stegmaier's entire being. I feel like a lot of their games, they love to see sort of a progression. He loves to see starting at kind of a weaker spot, and then slowly throughout the game you get stronger and stronger and stronger and more powerful. Well, they do that in the way of this is a superhero's origin story. And so over the course of the game's 5 rounds, you're going to be taking on these powers that are going to be kind of you're choosing or drafting from 3 cards that you're going to be dealt, and you're choosing one to put into your origin story, and that will give you a special ability for the rest of the game, potentially abilities that will, combo with each other, and that's kind of the juice of the game, really. Now, I'm not going to go over an exhaustive teach as to how trick-taking works. I'll leave a video in the description down below that goes over what trick-taking is. But if you've ever played Hearts or Euchre, this really is that standard of a trick-taking game in a lot of ways. So there are 4 suits in this deck. They are each 1 through 13. So this is pretty much a standard deck of playing cards besides the aces. And you are going to have basically these 4 attributes of superheroes. That's what they represent. So you have green, which is brains, red, which is strength, blue for speed, and yellow, which is love, the most powerful suit of all. And that's because it is the trump suit in this game. Now, like I said, there are going to be 5 rounds of play. You're each going to be choosing a superhero board that's going to have a unique ability, a character name, and also spots for all of these story cards that you're going to be putting into place. You're also going to have these little stamina tokens, which look like a little speech boxes in a comic book. And these are basically just going to be kind of like energy or a resource in which you will not spend, but you will kind of place onto your storyboard in order to activate abilities and in order to kind of power up some of those story cards. Every round, you're going to be drawing 3 story cards, choosing one to place into your story for that round, and you're also going to be gaining another new stamina token. So you're going to be getting more power in both fronts. You're going to be dealt a hand of 8 cards out of that deck, no matter the player count, and you're going to be playing tricks. So the start player is going to lead with any card from their hand. Then the rest in clockwise fashion must play a card that matches the lead card, and then the highest in the led suit after all cards have been played will win the trick. But remember, I mentioned that love is the trump suit. Well, if you ever don't have a card that matches the lead card played, you can play any card in your hand. And if you play the love trump suit, it will automatically win that trick unless it is not the highest of the trump suit played. So you're going to be playing 8 tricks. Everyone's going to basically be playing out their hand. Now, how you score the tricks that you win is, 1, going to depend on all of the abilities that you may have grabbed, but more importantly, it's going to depend on if you are a superhero or a villain. At the start of every round, you're also going to be making this choice. You're going to have a dial in front of you, a superhero side, and if you flip it, a villain side. And fun little fact about this is it keeps your score, and I just think that's very clever and very neat. But if you are choosing to be a superhero, which every player is going to choose in secret, then you are going to gain 1 victory point per every trick that you win that round. However, if you go as a villain, you are going to be gaining 4 victory points if you win 0 tricks at the end of that round. And thus we get the first thematic tie to a superhero trick-taking game, in which I think they did an incredible job, because like I said, these tricks are kind of calamities in this city. That's what the tricks are simulating. And so you kind of playing these cards out, that's showing the attribute that kind of saved the day. And so you as a villain, you don't want to save the day. You don't want to win these tricks. But as a superhero, you are trying to stop as many calamities as possible. So after you play through 8 cards, you're going to be doing kind of end of round stuff. You're each going to be scoring points based on superheroes and villains, and you might have gotten some points based off of your story cards. You are then going to be repeating the process. So you're going to draw 3 new story cards. You're going to get a new stamina token. You're going to be choosing a new story card for that round, assigning your stamina tokens, choosing whether you're going to go as superhero or villain, because you don't have to stay as one the whole game. It's each individual round. And you're going to be continuing this on until the end of the 5th round, which whoever has the most victory points will then win Origin Story. But here's some of the kickers. Well, the 3rd round will actually have what's called an event. So the 3rd round, you're going to be flipping over one of these event cards. There's actually a good amount in the box, and these change the game quite drastically. Let me give you a couple of examples. You've got Contest of Champions. When revealed, playing offsuit, players must play a heart if possible. So it's saying that you have to trump if you don't have the lead card. And the Blink. When revealed, reveal and discard the top card of the deck. Players reveal all cards of that card's suit, temporarily removing them from their hands. And an ongoing ability for this, when a player empties their hand, they regain their revealed cards. There's a deck this big of abilities that crazy and events that nuts that will happen at every 3rd round. So you'll play this game quite a few times and you may never see a certain event pop up. You don't know what event is coming most of the time. And so it's very, very intriguing on what's going to happen in the middle of your game of Origin Story. Now, at the beginning of the game, you actually got dealt 2 random what are called superhero cards. And this is another really clever aspect because these are actually round kind of reference sheets that you can kind of use throughout the game. Because what is under these are your secret identities, your superhero, I guess, identity. And so you are able to look at these at the beginning of the game and throughout the game and kind of plan for them. Because at the beginning of that 5th round, the final round of the game, you're going to be choosing one of these, and they usually have an extremely powerful ability, a way to gain a lot of points, and a good way to kind of swing in victory points towards. Now, I gotta be honest, when I was reading the rule book and I was kind of reading the basic rules of this, I was thinking, this game is very, very basic. And to be honest, it really is. The framework of this game is so incredibly simple to grasp onto. This is not doing anything that we have not really seen before. This is keeping it very, very familiar in terms of the trick-taking part, at least at first. Because then, as the game goes on, every single position in the game becomes more interesting, more asymmetric, more unique. And it's kind of funny because it goes from a game that is very, very simple and easy, and you're thinking, okay, I only have like one ability of every player to kind of keep track of, to then, now I have 2 abilities of every opponent to keep track of, and another ability that I need to keep track of, to 3, to 4, and each of these abilities really break the game. The heart of the game, in my opinion, is in these story cards and the opportunities that you are presented with. When you draw 3 of these story cards at the beginning of each round, I'm thinking to myself every single time, holy crap, how did they allow these abilities to be in the same game? And you gotta start, it like gets your brain thinking about all of the possibilities for your next play if you got, you know, this card with another specific card that you already had. Because that's really the bulk of this game. It's figuring out a crazy, insane engine that you can build with those story cards. But let's give a couple of examples. We've got time travel. You may remove 2 stamina to rewind the current trick. What? Each player picks up the card that they played, and then you restart the trick as the leader. So you get a little bit of information on what kind of cards people have. You restart the whole trick, and then you start again from the top. But this time, you're the one who leads. You've got creative. It says when charged, meaning when you put 2 stamina on it, choose a suit. Discard all cards of that suit from your hand, and then draw that many cards. This is a really cool way to potentially short suit yourself early, but it's also a way to just kind of manipulate your hand in interesting ways every round that you would like to. Bravado. Keep your cards revealed throughout this round, starting now when you charge this up. End of round. You may switch from hero to villain. So at the very end, before scoring, you're able to kind of switch the way that you score, depending on how well you did. But your hand's revealed the whole round. Guys, I should look at the exact number, but there's a whole deck of these absolutely absurd abilities in this game. That is where the juice is. That is where the fun is in this game. It is in choosing these cards, putting them on, and kind of almost going in what feels like a roguelite, where you're just kind of seeing how far you can push with these crazy abilities and what kind of combos you can come up with. So let's talk about some final thoughts. Do I like this game? I want to say first off, yes, I love this game. I think it's really, really good. I think one thing that I will say about this is that if you have shown people, for example, Rebel Princess, and they enjoyed it, because that's kind of a step up from Hearts. Now this feels like the step up after Rebel Princess. This might be the next one. But I think in the way that Rebel Princess is chaotic, it's crazy, people are screwing over each other by throwing in those princes, this game has that similar feel where you have a lot of ability to screw over other players. This is a very mean game. You're gonna have abilities, and not every player at the table is going to be able to keep track of all those abilities. And so they might feel a little bit screwed over by just not knowing what other players had the ability to do for that round. It is the kind of game that kind of goes bonkers really quick, because it starts off really slow, and then really, honestly, by that second story card, you're already like, what? Every round, when you win a trick, you can choose to then not win the trick and then give the lead to another player, and it just gets absolutely crazy. Because then another player over there is gonna be like, wait a second, I'm gonna rewind that round because I didn't like how that played out, let me try this again. And it just feels like, what reality are we in? This is absolutely insane. All these abilities are crazy. But that really is where the magic of the game comes to play, because in my opinion, after about the 3rd game of this, I started getting a good idea of the story cards. Because while I said that these abilities were absolutely bonkers, they're also very thematic and they make sense to the names. So now for the rest of the game, when I hear that somebody has time travel, I'm thinking, oh, they have the ability to rewind. Let's see if they charge it. Okay, well, now they can rewind any trick. I'll just keep that in mind. These things become easier to remember pretty quickly, especially if you are an advanced gamer that kind of knows what's going on. I think the only issue that I have with this game might be the game box cover, because I think that personally for me, I was not a huge fan of the looks of this cover. And Stonemaier, please, please, I would pay for a game sleeve of this artwork as the cover right here. This artwork is the best artwork in this game, in my opinion. I think it is the most beautiful, striking image, and I would love to see that on the cover of this game. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be playing this one because I think it's very pretty, it's very unique, I love the theme, I love the fact that it takes a very simple trick-taking game, yet gives it a progression system, and it's thematic, because you're building out that origin story, and at the end of every game, you can look at your board and you can say, wow, what a crazy superhero I have created. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much to Jamie for sending me a copy to take a look at and tell you about this game. Also want to do a quick shout out to the members of the channel. You guys are all the best. If you want to join and be a part of the membership community, definitely check the link down below. I'll have that there. A way to support the channel and also get access to early videos. And special shout out to the other lords of the board. Thank you so much, Lord Pal and also Lord One with Iron. You guys are fantastic. But hey, that is all I have for you today. With that, let's go ahead and drop the beat.